Still the Varus ban.
Yeah, Varus ban and now LeBlanc taken away by Jin.
I like the Trundle ban on blue side. Trundle's a pick that every team can play, such as the power of Let's Pick Trundle, but trying to narrow down Trace's champion pool, I think would really behoove MVP. I don't know if they realize this, but I feel like Trace is in a bit of a corner on this 6-11 meta. So let's see how the draft develops. So if Trace actually has a trump card that he hasn't shown yet.
This could be the Shen. Oh, or Nidalee.
So much power available.
Nidalee
this is what we mentioned that Jin could do, is there's a lot of tempting picks that you can leave out there. Beyond has been their carry on multiple occasions. You can understand valuing the Nidalee that high, and giving Nidalee to Winged is not really a great spot either for MVP.
This is actually really smart by Jin, giving them a bit of a catch-22 scenario. So might just be the Nidalee going over to Beyond, but this opens up Jin to snatch up a couple really priority picks, something like a Karma and the Shen. They could go a multitude of different ways. They could even go for the Azir, which is something that Blanc has played in the past.
So many tempting junglers. Remember, all junglers available. So Kindred, Rek'Sai, Elise available. So Jin will definitely have a great tool to respond in the jungle. It's just, can they find a trump card? Because I feel like they've set up this situation for them. Will they reach for a top laner, or am I just overblowing Trace's struggles on 6-11?
I don't think you are. I mean, granted, KDA doesn't tell the whole story, but if you look at his KDA compared to that of the rest of his teams, it has been severely lacking. We did mention that early on that he has been looking to play more utility tops like the Shen, so he's going to be more willing to sacrifice himself because he doesn't have to carry. But even so, it is a little bit worrisome, and this would be worrisome as well if they want to draft the Viktor and Graves in their first rotation.
I mean, Azir is available, so it'd be strange to see a Viktor blind pick.
Take the Shen.
Shen as a blind pick would make a lot of sense, but they actually do reach for the Viktor. Now, this might be a reality of Blanc in particular, because remember, it's a different mid laner. Kuzan is a well-known Azir player. Might just be that Azir doesn't really feature in the recent practice plans of Jin, but seeing a blind pick mid laner and it not being Azir is almost insane to me in the first rotation.
Well, now MVP gets to play around. They're gonna hover the Skarner. I couldn't even remember his name. He's been gone.
He was in the video.
Yeah, I know. Still, just went out of my mind that quickly.
The tribute picks are real so far, and I think you take the Shen. I think you're surprised that it's still available in the second rotation. The picks, the Sivir was actually important.
So strong for
They're going to match Waper. They don't want to give away Viktor and Sivir, and now it's round 2 for Jin. What is their answer to a top lane Shen? Because the Aurelia, maybe they just throw out that performance and they've got another string to the bow, but I was not convinced by Trace's Aurelia.
Yeah, neither was I. And the other thing is, do you take the Karma away in this, or do you give that Karma Sivir draft over to the side of MVP, who are still going to be looking for a support? Jin, they went from having a strong start, and then after that first rotation of picks, it was just like, well, I don't know what's happening anymore.
Because this is what you're trapped into. Trace played well on the Ekko in the top lane, even after the nerfs, but every Ekko we've seen, we'd be like, man, it's not the same old Ekko. And versus Shen can itemize pretty decently against you. You get a little bit of magic, so you have only one interrupt, and it's the most situational of interrupts against the Stand United when it comes to actually proccing the parallel convergence. So I really don't like this matchup. I feel like Shen can really run away with it, but Trace doesn't have any other answers, and they do have to go for the Ekko.
It's also the Kalista, as you mentioned, the Ekko, not something that's had power since the changes. Kalista as well, really fallen out of favor. We saw a Kalista just the other day paired with Zyra in the bot lane, and it just couldn't do anything.
I mean, the Zyra was core JJ and his first ever competitive game as support, so that's about as big an asterisk as you could ever ask for.
Even the Kalista alone didn't really
It's not old Kalista, but in a world where Lucian is less of a reach for pick, double left accepted, that I think Kalista actually does have some merit. She's not as strong as she was, but she does have a play. She has a 2-item power spike, so does Ekko, so does Viktor, so at least the power spikes, maybe Graves accepted, are aligned on the side of Jin. Wait and see where MVP goes, because they don't have access to the Graves, but Nidalee certainly even more powerful in terms of a dueling jungler. I want to see another teleport mid laner, but with a Blanc off, there aren't a lot of aggressive options outside of that Ahri that they've been flashing so many times.
Well, it looks like they might just go for the Azir, and they do. They lock this one in for Ian. So MVP gonna try their hands at the Azir, see if they can have a better performance than Kuzan.
But they don't have someone who can react with the Shen Nidalee. That's the important thing to note here, is that Azir is almost always the second champion to rotate. Can push in early, but in general has to play with a defensive mindset. Viktor has Ghost Flash, probably will stick with Ghost Flash, so we'll have one extra spell to rotate faster. So it's not quite the same identity as the Graves, Shen, LeBlanc trio that they had last game.
Now Thresh, the long hover here for Jin. We've been seeing more and more of him.
It's also the lane.
Late, but
Kalista Thresh is the who do I focus lane.
It was the most impressive lane a season ago.
I mean, it's got both the fact that you don't know who to focus, and it's a ranged auto attacker, which works really well with Kalista's passive. So in general, for a lot of reasons, Thresh has always made a lot of sense. You've got a pseudo pick comp with Bard and specifically the Shen on the side of MVP, so a lot of value in the Lantern from Thresh. So I think Thresh does fit in really well, but Jin have found themselves in a really awkward spot in this draft. I don't understand Viktor in the first rotation from Blanc, with Azir open, with Shen open, just looking across the Shen pick that ended up going second rotation that very much dominated the first game. Now, Jin are a good team. It's a solid draft. They could definitely win this game by just outplaying on a macro level. Even MVP showed some weaknesses in macro play despite their victory. Yeah. But the draft, I'm not convinced by.
Neither am I. And it's really going to come down to Trace pulling everything out of the hat with this Ekko, because he has not been in a good spot as of late.
Or it's on Jin as a team to just grossly outplay MVP in the early game, because they were a bit lambs to the slaughter in game one.
It's very true. We'll see whether or not the Drakes want to favor them today, or this time around, I should say, or if it's going to be something like a Cloud Drake that'll just sit there for a while. I mean, did you at least have objective confirmation with the Rend from the Kalista? So that does improve their chances a little bit more, as we saw Beyond winning that Smite War earlier on in the first game.
But if MVP get ahead in the early game, Beyond gets ahead and has a Shen to back him up, I think MVP can take this. But in the late game, good team fighting options from Jin if they can answer the Shen split push, and just the fact they had that Ekko versus Shen matchup.
Well, we'll have to keep our eyes on Trace and ADD yet again. Our MVP top laner, this time on the Shen for the second game in a row. And then, of course, Beyond, who's been a very big carry from that jungle, now with the Nidalee in his hands. Let's see what happens as we get into game two. MVP looking at closeout. Well, it's Mountain Drake.
So far, so good.
So far, so good indeed, Papa. The big question now is what follows it? What comes in after the Mountain Drake? There's only one way to find out, and something tells me we won't until about 10 minutes into this game.
We're answering a lot of cliffhangers. What happens after Jin beats SK Telecom? So far, it's the old playbook, not the new
MVP,
one.
Maybe. But this is good. We live in a world where anything can happen in the LCK.
Winged returning to the Graves. He had it stolen away by Beyond in game one. It's Thunderlord's Graves. We've seen him go 2 schools of thought with this Graves. And the start of the week, it was Yoma's Ghostblade, Duskblade of Drakthar that captured everyone's imagination. But it's very much the team fighting build in game 2. And you look over the side of MVP, magic damage jungler, magic damage mid laner, probably going to be more Malmortius rather than the burst build from the Graves.
Would only expect that, at least for his sake. Blanc, though, bringing out the Viktor. I believe this is the 2 games that we have seen him as most played.
But again, I think it's a bit of a misnomer to say bringing out the Viktor. They reached for this Viktor. First rotation pick. Oh, there's a lot of fights here.
Yeah, Cosmic Binding comes through from Max, so he will not go down. But that was a very aggressive invade, trying to spot them at the Gromp, but they just find him around the corner instead.
They also take damage onto Max in trade for about 20% of Pilot's health. And of course, Max will have access to more potions than Pilot, so early lane control will go over to MVP.
Yep. Relic Shield is there for Chei, so using those charges, he will be able to help sustain Pilot back up here and there. Still, MVP in a good spot to kick things off. Kalista's going to be suffering unless you get those minions prepped well underneath the tower.
And lanes are observed once again. Lane swap in this series.
Yep. And another Doran Shield here for ADD.
Strange, I mean, I actually looked over patch notes and we saw a couple more Doran Shield just to confirm that nothing had changed, but it's been a long time since Doran Shield changes, but players moving over to that item. On a champion like Shen, you know, on a non-mana champion, then not really behooved to pick up the corrupting potion, so you look at other options. Could be the Ruby Crystal, that's what Rumble players usually go for, but Thorn Shield, fine choices for him.
Gives him that sustain to stick around. You can see that Trace has already used 2 of his charges. So we'll be running out of those if ADD can continue the aggression up that top side. MaHa gets rended out, throws out the Boomerang Blade, but he's going to be on the less half of that tree for sure. Hook doesn't connect, and he will be able to back off, but it's good aggression there from Jin-Air. We need to get that bot lane rolling.
One thing Trace can do with this Ekko is early game push in the Shen very effectively. We'll see if ADD feels like he can disrespect Trace enough to go for a Balmy Cinder, which is usually a very important purchase for Shen to have any options to push, but if he's forced to go into the more likely Spectre's Cowl, it will delay lane control, so it means that lane pressure, something more difficult for Ekko to get after all the base damage nerfs, should still be there for him in the early game.
For now, going to be a pretty quiet one beyond coming up with a roam to the top side, but Thresh is warded, so Trace is going to be able to stay safe. They throw down that pink and we'll be able to clear it out. But Winged is coming up. He could go through the brush.
This would be really telegraphed.
Oh, that's a really nice, well-timed ward there by ADD.
Yeah, I thought he was just walking up to harass, but that was actually, as you mentioned, warding the forward brush. Means no counter gank is possible from Winged. It's very hard to sneak that ward in, so the fact that it's obvious is not that much of an issue.
Yeah. Pretty good stuff, and that's just going to allow for Nidalee and Graves, both of whom are going to be pretty content to go ahead and farm up to continue to do so. Try to get some leads. It will be chilling Smite for Winged yet again.
Vision on the side of MVP is very impressive when you notice that Jin-Air have no vision down whatsoever. Nice pink in the brush in the top lane.
2 wards.
Yeah, they have 2 aggressive wards and the Scuttle Crab, and just single ward down from the side of Jin-Air.
No, 2 wards from Jin-Air. 1 in the top, 1 in the river.
Okay. Good point, but I just like the...
It doesn't really make it any better.
Sure, and it's still splitting hairs. It's before vision can be picked up. I just do like where they're put down on the side of MVP because it allows Shen to really push aggressively in the top and have almost full information about what's happening on his side of the jungle.
Yeah.
And because he's Shen, he can teleport back in pretty happy. Gonna have Stand United soon.
Max is gonna get grabbed. Lantern comes out, and here comes Wing. That's gonna be first blood. The Rend coming out there from Pilot to confirm the kill. MaHa taking a bunch of those stacks as well. He's gonna take a good chunk of damage, and Jin-Air able to pick up the first blood. Not gonna get botched like it did in the first game.
Didn't quite have Shen ultimate available. The reason you can just teleport back into lane as Shen is that you usually have Standing United for those fights, but still level 5, couldn't answer. If he teleported in, they wouldn't have confirmed a kill. So all in all, it's a nice place from Jin-Air, and Hard has those low base stats, so when he face checks, that can be the reward for Jin-Air.
He's not gonna have 6 for a little bit longer. Needs a couple more minions, maybe. There it is. Gets that. So now he can do it, but still gonna be a very nice pickup there from Jin-Air, but we're still suffering a gold loss, or at least close to a tie because of the CS discrepancy in the jungle and that top side.
ADD did go the aggressive route because he was winning in CS early. He went Balmy Cinder first, so these trades from Trace are actually going very well from his side. No potions now available for Shen, so he's going to have to be careful.
Yep.
Difficult to turret dive a Shen, but definitely possible.
He does have a good amount of sustain, so I think he'll be okay, but certainly doesn't want to keep clashing with that Ekko as much as he is at the moment.
Not till the Spectre's Cowl can be completed.
We'll see if he wants to split off from that, or if he's still going to be able to play very aggressively and go for the Sunfire Cape.
I think the Spectre's Cowl is almost guaranteed. Balmy Cinder, it's not Sunfire Cape in terms of raw damage to minions, but it's enough to give some presence and not allow Trace to have his way with the lane. If you let the enemy laner push you in or freeze the lane as they want to dictate, then you give a lot of power over to the side of Jin-Air.
Oh, we can see it right there with the No Magic Mantle for him. Well, Chaos Storm gets thrown out. Ian, Stand United's going to come out. Blanc on the run. Will blow the flash, but here comes ADD. Barely misses the dash. Will get locked up by the gravity field. It looks like he's going to be able to walk away with his life. Here comes Beyond, though. The javelin flies straight and true, and it will be the answering kill, but they had to invest a lot to get that one.
But the roar doesn't stop. They're going to try and take this red. Will Winged walk up? There is 2 members there.
Race is coming in. Looks like Wing does take that one away with his smite.
But they're able to kite back down. Beyond can walk to his mid lane. There's not going to be any extra members from Jin Air to answer.
Trace trying to get some damage in.
They're going hard.
He flashes in, trying to get the slow onto ADD, get that move speed increase. Parallel convergence gets thrown out. ADD will get caught in this. Here comes Wing. Do they have the damage to finish him out? And the blind comes through. Looks like it's going to be a yes. He falls, and Trace finds the kill.
Looked like ADD panicked when he saw the field come through from the parallel convergence. Could have kept going down. I don't know if he would have been able to outrun, but regardless, condemned his fate when he walked back into the parallel convergence. Nice kill from Jin. They invested a lot, and now they'll try to answer with a couple of objectives of their own.
Very nice. Taking out the Gromp away from Beyond, right out from under his nose. I think the worry from ADD was, I think he identified that he couldn't get out of there and knew that the end of the line would have gotten an instant proc off the wall.
Look, I won't hold it against him. It looked like not the best move, but with the timing and the fact that after the delay, you don't have that much time to allow. He was probably dead anyway, so regardless. Jin Air invest a lot. I guess both teams invest a lot. MVP come ahead slightly, I believe, in that trade, but certainly not much to speak of.
Oh, they dumped a lot just to get that kill on the Blanc.
They got an enemy red buff in exchange for a Gromp, and they went 1-for-1, so it was very line ball, but I would say a very slight advantage to MVP.
They didn't get the red buff.
Oh, they didn't. You're right. It did go over to Graves.
Yeah.
So I guess all in all, even Steve.
Flash from Nidalee and the Shen. Take out Blanc.
Yeah,
but he's going to be no summoner spell, so he's going to be a very immobile Viktor for quite some time.
Yeah, first time we've seen ADD miss one of those taunt flashes, so we'll have to keep that in mind. With the pressure in bot, and Chei able to roam.
He's playing really far up. Chei coming in over the side, though, will get revealed as he throws it down that ward into the Raptor pit. So he's just going to go back down towards bot. Dragon not yet becoming a point of contention, but it's only a matter of time. People are going to want to get their hands on that Mountain Drake as quickly as they can.
So people have noticed this actually happened in the EU LCS, now we're seeing it here in the LCK. Berserker Greaves rush from Ian. Now, a lot of people expect Sorcerer's Shoes or another band. Oh, it's top lane.
Oh, yeah, Trace has to snap back. Looks like he's going to go in underneath the tower. Goes on the parallel convergence. He's not going to get baited into this one, though. Takes those turret shots, and he will go down Beyond, finding the kill. So Trace playing way too far forward with no vision in the river.
Yeah, really good patience from Beyond to wait out the parallel convergence, but Berserker Greaves has increasingly become the rush on Ian because of the gold stats you get, 35% attack speed for the price, and magic penetration. That flat penetration in the late game, not providing a lot. Feels like Berserker Greaves, mathematically at least, gives you more, especially with Stinger nerf. Jin Air trying to sneak out this dragon.
MVP's here. He throws out the javelin. Can he get it? No. Can't get him right into the smite. The smite comes out from Wing. That he will confirm that first dragon. Box goes down as Chei grabs up ADD. Who's taking a lot of damage with the Chaos Storm. Huge spear lands on the Wing. Beyond goes forward, but the flash away from the Graves does keep him safe. Now Beyond has to jump over the wall to dodge out that collateral damage. Chei comes in, has that ignite ticking. They find the kill. Pilot gonna be the one picking it up. Bates call thrown out. Can't find the knock up off the throw back in. But the hook lands on the ADD. Wow, by the last pixel. They find him, and that's going to be a double kill now for the Kalista. Jin Air starting to get a decent lead here. 900 gold up, and now the Mountain Drake as well.
And MVP try to play the exact same game they played in game 1, but they don't have the same tools. Their mid laner isn't a LeBlanc this time, it's the Azir. So even though he looks for an aggressive play, they over-pursue. AD doesn't have flash, so he misses out on what could have been a 2-man taunt. And then we see Beyond just overextending for damage. They get pinched on by the Kalista, who's at full health. This was just unnecessary from MVP, and again, they're playing as if they have their game 1 comp. They don't, and they're being punished by Jin Air.
Yeah. Nice hook there by Chei as well. He played that sequence really well. The flash with the play to secure the kill onto Beyond into that hook. So the Thresh really working out here for the bot lane of Jin Air Greenwings so far. 4-2 in those kills. Still 900 ahead is Jin Air. But that Mountain Drake is going to help them stretch that considerably if they can get onto these turrets.
See Shen being sent to the bot lane, so it was a late rotation from MVP, and now Jin Air being slow to answer it. Shen does have Stand United, and there is no summoner spell teleport for Trace, so with teleport and Stand United soon to be available, but the teleport definitely available right now. Options for MVP to play the map before Trace has an ability to answer.
Yeah. So See the wave dying out there in the mid side as Ian tries to get a little bit of damage in onto this tower without having that passive on the Ryze though. Taking turrets is going to be considerably more difficult for Azir. So going to take a lot more time to whittle those down.
I feel like Riot was trying to give meaningful decisions for Azir before basically did everything well, and even though he wasn't a teleport mid laner, he could just take your turret at immense speed. So now at least you can leave lane once in a while and not get super punished by Azir.
Very true. Lost chapter picked up for him. Fiendish Codex.
So maybe because of how the early game's going, it's going to be avoiding the Nashor's Tooth as a rush. Still a chance he goes for it, but I think it might be the Morellonomicon first from Ian.
Yeah. Parallel convergence thrown out in the bottom side as these guys duke it out. Looks like he was slightly coming out on top of that one. Shield there from Trace as well as that corrupting potion. It's going to help him sustain back up.
Tank wars.
Oh yeah, this is the fun stuff.
Play the Ruin King first is the pickup from Pilot, so he doesn't want to sit in mid lane and wave clear. Makes a bit of sense when your mid laner doesn't have teleport himself, so it won't just be Kalista in the mid lane that we often see when Kalista is played. The small amount of times Kalista is played in the current meta. Just the blue buff donation, and things can calm down. 1,000 gold and a Mountain Drake is what Jin Air have to show for a good 14 minutes from them.
Yep. Gotta say though, CSing here from Blanc still gonna be a bit of a concern. It's down almost 30. AD really far forward though. We'll go ahead, just use that dash away. It smells something wrong. Just gets away in time for Wing to arrive. Be careful though, Chase here. If he can land a hook somehow through these minions, it'll be a very dead Shen.
He has flash up. Chei doesn't. Chei hasn't been Sin yet, though, so...
Yeah, neither have Winged.
When he goes for this furthermost minion, we might see attempt at the hook. And he doesn't overextend enough. ADD playing safe.
Just going to be the recall for the Shen. So keeping himself alive. It's a good strategy.
So many options with Stand United and teleport flash. That doesn't need to get cute, going for 1 or 2 extra CS. Just teleport back to lane, full health, perfectly happy. Certainly hasn't been the acceleration from MVP to match what, so from Jin Air to match what MVP did last game. If you remember MVP, those 2 mid lane turrets really opened up the game, both in terms of gold and just the control it gave.
Speaking of gold, that deficit has been closing very rapidly. As you can see, 300 now just separating these teams. So MVP still making the moves to get back into this, keep themselves relevant in the fights. Jin Air just haven't been able to pressure out for any objectives. Chei finding MaHa, but it's going to be a Stand United. Something he might have bitten off more than he could shoot. Gets the hook in onto Max, who takes a magical journey out. ED comes through, but can't find a taunt. It looks like that might just be a disengage.
Oh, catch
Bard
swing.
ultimate does clip Wings. Ian's there, but he takes a ton of damage from Blanc. Collateral damage gets thrown out as well. And it looks like that will just be the peel back here from MVP. And Jin Air might be able to push in and try to get some good damage in onto this turret in the mid side, but Beyond and ADD are there to front line. So they're just going to go ahead and back away from that objective while Pilot shoves the wave in the top.
Yeah, a lot invested, but nothing gained.
That was a weird engage.
Certainly was. They did blow Stand United, and that won't be up for about 1.5 minutes. It is still on level 1, so the cooldown hasn't come down yet. Okay, he actually invested
some
flash.
Taunt onto Blanc. It's going to be the gravity field thrown down, but Beyond goes in straight underneath the turret as ADD tanks it up and finds the kill. Nicely played, very aggressive, but they come out on top for it.
And second time I've been impressed with Beyond's Nidalee mechanics. That time he waited out to see where the parallel convergence was, flashed over, didn't want to have to deal with being stopped mid-animation on the pounce, and confirms the kill. They're going to push into mid with the Berserker Greaves.
Well, they have this fight coming in from Trace, who does find Beyond, throws out the Q. Ian going to get slowed up by that parallel convergence, get some damage in onto Wing, which is good because the rest of MVP are going over to this Drake. If they can dissuade the Graves from coming in, this would be a very easy confirm for them. It's going to be Ocean, so helping out that siege and poke potential in those elongated fights. They'll be able to take it, exit safely.
But the fire is denied from this game. It will be Cloud Drake as our third type. Your enthusiasm is infectious.
Yes, it is. Ian, wow, look at that one going in. Gets the Emperor's Defy. Chei on the run. Hasn't been dragged out by the Fate's Call yet. Actually, it's not even available, but does need to be, as he is able to exit with just burning the flash and the heal from Pilot.
It is a big investment, the flash especially. The only initiation you could even sort of level to the side of Jhin is flash Thresh hook, which already shouldn't be your primary initiation, but they're going to be trying to play the objective game. So when you've just given up a Drake to the side of MVP, a team that has Azir, who can kite back well, has more initiation options than you, it's quite a big investment to have to flash, but that was the reality for Chei. But I just want to come back to the build. We talked about Berserker Greaves again, gold efficiency, early attack speed. With Nashor's too, the thing about it was the attack speed and the fact that Stinger built so well and you needed 20% CDR. You get that same CDR from Merlinomicon. With the buff, now you get a pretty good amount of attack speed from the Berserker Greaves, and you never got the Nashor's Tooth passive on your Sand Soldiers anyway, so it's just a different way to allocate early resources, but the early movement speed makes you better at getting away from ganks. Azir was always good at that, but still, it's a nice stat to have. And the Merlinomicon against Ekko and just the lifesteal and heals makes a lot of sense for Ian.
Yeah. Saw that hook not going to land the mid side, so Ian will still be safe. Meanwhile, AD is starting to pretty handily win out those trades against Trace. Plus the Spectre's Cowl, plus the Ninja Tabby really helping him mitigate a bunch of that damage coming out from the Ekko.
Pilot can get pretty obnoxious going for turret hits. It does have Thresh, as we mentioned. So can just hang back and be a lantern bot. So it does overextend more than most AD carries would. Trying to get this turret down.
Looks like he will be able to just go ahead and
brute force
this one. Actually, oh wow, the last hit and he's not able to find it.
Poor calculated.
30 HP. Well,
MVP knows about 53 HP, but 30 is a little bit different.
Well, wasn't able to finish it, but look at that life seal coming through from the blade of the Rune King. He is going to be very healthy to stick around and probably just inevitably finish off that turret. Meanwhile, Trace is really losing these trades, even with ADD in the middle of the minion packs.
I mean, there's just so many more tankiness options for ADD. He's Shen, who has the dodge mechanic built into his kit, compared to Ekko, who was always envisioned as an AP assassin, and thus any tankiness usually comes through building items. So in general, Shen will have the advantage when it comes to trading. Just activates W, wails away with his Q, and wins trades. So be happy time. Trace ults back into lane though, so not really anything lost from the side of Trace.
Yep. Still has a nice CS lead here. 24 over top of ADD. But ADD has been over the map, all around the map a little bit more, whether using Stand United and the teleports. He's got that going for him.
Honestly, MVP has Beyond going for them. All kills on Beyond. 3-1-0. Has the Ryze super quick and boots too, so fighting around this Nidalee is exactly what they want to do.
Take away that move up. Did get a reset in. Beyond spotted by that Wolf Spirit, but Wing not even going to bother trying to take that one away. Trace shows up, but parallel convergence won't land in time.
I mean, Jhin had most of their lineup in the top lane, so weren't realistically going to stop the contest.
Yeah.
Beyond gets bigger.
That he does. We see MaHa up here. Fate's Call's been used by Pilot. Does he go for a flash aggressive play? Nope. MaHa backs off, and Chei just goes straight back into the bush. Oh, Ian taking a bunch of damage. Here comes Wing from the side. Has that Chilling Smite. Good flash away to get away from the end of the line. Blanc took a significant amount of his HP as well. Not going to see the Bard ultimate yet from Max. Though lands. That's going to be it coming out. He actually gets in the middle of that animation of the Emperor's Divide. Straight to Stand United. Is that enough to keep him alive? It looks like it might be. And Beyond comes in and finishes off Chei. Looking for Blanc as well, who's completely out of mana, but then it's going to turn onto Wings. TP's coming through from Trace. Does he finish this? Yes, he does. Does he have any kill pressure? I don't think he does. They throw out the Javelin, and Trace is just going to have to back off. I think he should have just stayed in bot and gone for the tier 1.
In a different way to game 1, the Shen comes up trumps crazily.
Woo.
AD doesn't die. First, big credit to Max hitting that very short range, but very necessary ultimate. An instant channel on the Shen. It's crazy that Ian survives. It was just great roam from Chei. They had exclusive brush vision. They come in, you're like, well, goodbye, Azir. But in mid-animation of play, it is first the parallel convergence into the ultimate from Shen. Chei dies as well, so MVP picks up a couple of kills, I believe, from that. The slow from the Ryze playing around Beyond. MVP's playing smart, crazily. They find a foothold in game 2, and suddenly, it's possible to be picking up a 2-0 victory over the soaring Jhin Greenwings.
I just can't imagine how hard ADD was hitting his R button right there while just hovering over top of Ian, spamming the hell out of it as much as you can.
I really hope the Jin Air loyalists are watching this game so they can go back, re-edit Mad Plane, and edit out Spenu and replace it with MVP.
That would, yeah, I'm sure it'll show up on the post-game thread.
I hope so. The new and improved Mad Plane V2.
Yeah, this plane, it's losing altitude pretty rapidly.
No, it's just really angry.
It's kamikaze.
The Mad Plane has bazookas and stuff, so you should check that one out if you haven't seen it. The rarely seen Mad Plane.
Oh boy, here we go. Fate's call. MaHa does have that spell shield up. Ian throws out the Empress of Mind, dashes away. Parallel Convergence comes down. Trace will lock up the Sivir. ADD's trying to frontline, flash away. Will keep MaHa up, but the collateral damage goes ahead and flex that kill. ADD getting fleet back in. Will take the magical journey out to safety. All in all, just going to be the 1-for-0 here for Jin Air, but that opens him up for the Cloud Drake.
There's no good decisions for MaHa. He was going to get stunned by something. He had to spell shield. The hook from Thresh ended up getting boxed.
ADD gets grabbed.
Parallel Converge.
Yeah.
My apologies.
Just dashes out of that one. Trace throws out Parallel Convergence as you mention it. Javelin goes through, but a little too soon. But it's a Cloud Drake, and it's going to be an ocean to follow.
Really nice pick
So,
play.
they lose one, and they just give up the Cloud, so it's not the biggest problem. This turret, though, that's going to be another issue.
Yeah, it's the fact that they have this pressure. Now, the wave was already
boy.
very low, and MVP is going for a big aggressive move here. They have Azir, though. One of the things he's always been able to do is damage to this Baron. Nothing's changed on that. Jin Air are walking up. They lost a free Baron in game one, and look at the damage on it.
They have no time to get here. This is a beautiful call from MVP. They're going to be able to take out this Baron. Nicely played. They kill it right as the Scrying Orb comes through, and they will keep themselves in a fairly decent gold lead. So they lose the Sivir and immediately just bounce back and take Baron.
Third Baron of this particular series that MVP have picked up, and all three uncontested. I mean, fool me once, fool me twice, but I was fooled the third time. I didn't think they would potentially have the balls to try that, but they went for it. They knew their damage. They had an Azir who was already doing pretty well, the Nidalee as well, and wow, they just DPS it down.
The best thing about it is they still have the tier 1 in bot. Jin Air didn't even recover the gold from killing that objective that has about 100 HP on it. So they just come out so far ahead by taking that Baron. MVP, I don't know what happened with the shot calling from the last time we saw these guys, but I love it.
You know exactly what happened. They were like, get Baron, more Barons.
Okay, rather I should say, I don't know who stepped up to the plate to make these calls, but whoever's doing it, kudos to you, because it's damn good.
I mean, look at the permanent gold. You mentioned the fact that 400 gold didn't come from taking that bot lane turret. 2 turrets roll down. There were no outer turrets done, and a Baron was taken. I don't remember the last time we saw a game where Baron went down with no turrets being down for the side of MVP, but the amount of gold they just picked up in about 2 minutes is insane.
That is one hell of a power play. Still don't have that graphic.
No.
We'll never have that graphic.
How are our base gates looking? Pretty bare.
Yep. No flags.
MVP got so much out of those double mid lane turrets in game one, and looks to be repeating. Don't quite have enough damage just yet.
Yeah, but they do have this Azir tower, so they can stick around for an extended period of time and try to whittle that one down. Meanwhile, ADD is just diving onto trains. He just doesn't care anymore. He's like, you know what? You will never kill me.
Why did they leave the Shen up?
I don't know. There's a lot of questions to be asked here from the side of Jin Air, but it all adds up to one thing, that is a Mad Plane. Actually, we should have might need a Rage Plane after this.
Mad Plane's pretty angry.
I would imagine how bad a Rage Plane will be.
Look, I don't ask for too much. Just edit out Spenu and replace it with MVP, please.
Alright, fair enough. Well, you do ask for too much. You're asking for flags.
That's true.
On base gates.
That's true.
Power plays.
I try to be realistic.
You already got the best region in the world, Papa. What more do you want?
Some base gates?
Well, you have those, just not the flags here.
ADD just does not care about Trace at all.
He doesn't have to. This was the thing. This is why the Shen pick was so good. And Jin Air just let it slip through their fingers. I'm tilting.
I'm the analyst. I'm supposed to tilt about bad picks and bans.
No, but you already set me up to tilt because you told me that you have never finished a Miyazaki film, Papa.
That's
How
true.
is that possible?
That's true. It's actually
He's been making
my
them
fault.
for years. They're all wonderful. I don't know how you've done this to yourself. So
Look, I've watched pretty much every good TV show of all time. Movies, I definitely have some caveats to my knowledge.
he's never seen Saving Private Ryan either,
That's
guys.
true. Band of Brothers is great.
Have you ever seen The Godfather?
Nope.
Oh my!
You know those top 10 movie lists? I don't do very well on those.
I'm gonna just strap you to a chair and hold your eyelids open and
but
force
you
you
see,
to watch
this is
movies.
a dangerous game because I'll make you watch all the TV shows that I think are good, and that's a much bigger time investment.
But I know your TV shows, and they're at least good, so at least I would like.
Sure,
would
but like
enjoy
you'd
them.
be signing up for like hundreds of hours, and I'd be signing up for a handful of hours. I've got the power here, Achilles.
I could come up with a really good list. There's more movies than there are TV
Trace
shows.
is looking for something.
He is. He comes in really
deep.
behind them. MaHa waiting in the front.
They need
There's
Shen
the parallel
out now.
conversion thrown out. They go ahead, pop on the hunt. Ian separating them with the Emperor's Divide.
Yep.
It's going to be the Stand United coming in from
Oh,
PDD. Snap back
boy.
here from Trace. LeBlanc getting caught by the Bard ultimate. Has to flash away immediately. Wait, being taken down. He's going to be the first one that falls. Beyond finds the kill. He's still just so unkillable in this front line with a Guardian Angel at that. They find a kill. And MVP are going to be able to continue this onslaught. The wave clear just going to be coming from Blanc. And he's low. He has to back off. The tier 2 and top going down. What a turnaround there from MVP. Nice ultimate from Max yet again.
And the zoning E from the Bard. I've never seen a zoning magical journey, but that's what he did there. Feigning aggression, but still taking down the turret. They kited back well. The Shen ult came in early. That's what it needed to do because Shen is the only champion with re-engaged CC. Ensured that Ian lived on very high HP. They get the turret. They grow the lead. It's up to 8,000. Remember, they were a couple of thousand down. What was it, 8 minutes ago? And an assertive Baron call, something that helped them in game 1, rescues game 2, and now they're in full control.
Yeah. Wow, MVP pulling out all the stops in this match. I mean, I said at the beginning of the broadcast, you know, a 2-0 for Jenner, highly likely. MVP, I would like to offer my full apologies. I was not a believer, but you've so far turned that around for me.
I did walk up to the Korean cast and say MVP 2-0.
That's true.
I was being slightly facetious,
there was
but
a
only
slash,
slightly.
There was a /S attached to that statement.
I mean, this is Jin Air. This is the trials and tribulations you go through if you're a Jin Air fan. None of the Jin Air fans in the post-game thread are going to be surprised. They're going to be like, well, we brought this on ourselves. We supported Jin Air.
They might not be surprised, but they will be upset and angry.
No, they'll be mad.
Like the CJ fans now, at least they have something to look forward to because they've been like, wow, you know what, we lost that, but at least we looked really good when we lost it.
Well, that's like being like, at least we're cemented as the 10th team. That's
We'll
not actually the
we'll
happiest
see how they go. We'll see how CJ continues. They play against MVP. Actually, with this level of play from MVP, they might beat CJ.
It's one of those games where both teams will probably struggle. Both teams will probably be in the bottom 4. So whenever those two teams place, it's a bit of a 6-pointer, really. If you're able to take a 2-0 victory, then you kind of condemn the enemy team from probably finishing lower than you on the overall ladder. Such is the importance of that match.
Yeah, well, suddenly that match became much more interesting to watch. We could have a very competitive one between CJ and MVP. But I mean, we have a good week coming up here. Actually, there's several good games.
Well, the crazy thing is the good games you would have expected really haven't panned out very much this season. You know, Rox versus SKT.
SKT versus Samsung. I mean, that was a good game. That was
SKT Jin was actually really good as well. As Beyond casually steals away the blue. Every time I watch MVP, I'm reminded of how good Beyond is. This guy is a true superstar, and Max is pretty good too. Yeah,
he's been having a lot of success here with this Bard. You can see Chei just kind of get deleted. I mean, come on now. Blanc still getting caught. Here comes Stand United in on a MaHa, and the Viktor doesn't stand a chance. He just completely vanishes under the pressure that MVP is laying down. ADD tries to get the taunt, but Winged will dash away. But it doesn't matter. Wave clear of the Viktor is gone.
You don't need to
they have the power. They're just going to go for the Baron.
They really don't need to chase this, but as you mentioned, Baron is up, so they're in that area. They could have taken an inhibitor turret and an inhibitor here, but they decide not to.
Sort of a kill 2 birds with 1 stone if they get Trace, I suppose.
There is an element of risk here. Winged is alive, but far away.
He doesn't have collateral damage, so he can't steal up the wall. He has to go into the pit.
Yeah, I forget just how fast the Baron damage is from MVPs. They get it very easily.
Yep. Trace is still eating all this damage. It's also Flash. So they're going to give up on chasing him down. Because really, that would just be a very slight consolation prize on the side of things. They're over 11,000 gold up now at this point.
We learned two true, clear pick ban things about MVP from this series. They know how to play Shen comps. ADD hasn't had a great season, but Shen papers over a lot of his weaknesses, and their rotational play hasn't always been wonderful, but again, Shen gives you more options. As Chei honestly just took a million poke damage and just died to the Nidalee spear. But the other thing you learn about MVP from this series is you cannot give Nidalee over to Beyond, because his carry performance is here for everyone to see.
Yeah. Even Ian on this Azir has been doing a pretty good job.
Better than expected. I think Ian in general has been better than expected this season. Honestly, the two guys you would have pointed at and been like, I don't know about these two in Champions or in LCK, were Ian and MaHa. And MaHa's been a very good role player. Hasn't had a big carry game, but he hasn't stood out in a league where you could have thought he was the weakest AD carry in the league. He hasn't performed that way. And Ian's been surprisingly versatile for a guy whose champion pool was his big question mark.
Oh, Max gets grabbed, but they can't even chase that one. 2 inches into their own jungle, and they just can't extend that far out. This is a really bad time for Generic Greenwings, who need a KTS win, or a finish rather, to take us to a 3rd game. But MVP looking like they might be able to finish this one out. They finished the first one in 35 minutes. We'll see if they can do that again. EDD splitting down on the bottom side, getting some good damage in onto that turret. Meanwhile, on top, this thing is just 2 hits away from MaHa from going down.
Well, the Guardian Angel top lane at the trading, and as has been the story, you don't have those options as Ekko, the base damage and on the nerfs, and now also even the shield nerfs on parallel convergence, the only defensive steroid or near defensive steroid that Trace has on the Ekko. Been nerfed over patches, and Shen is a true tank that can walk up, disregard those base values. They pop the ult, they're going to take the turret. Base finally broken once again.
Yep, TP straight back into the bottom side here from ADD as well. Just going to continue this pressure as long as he can. Open up the rest of his team to go for that inhibitor. Parallel convergence won't connect. He's moved this thing down below half, and now the rest of MVP can go ahead and take the first inhib.
Don't need Ocean Drakes when you have Sivir and Azir able to walk up to a turret. ADD can play just recklessly overextended in bot, such as his tankiness. There is no damage to take him out. And you really have to look at this pick ban. The first rotation, Viktor with everything available, leaving Shen open. Nidalee ended up being a very big pick for MVP as well.
I heard my Soul Trace going to get jumped on, snaps back into the base with the ultimate. Takes a little bit of exit damage there from Ian. The Chaos Storm, look at that, even on max, barely doing any damage whatsoever. And this turret is going to fall for these last few hits from MaHa. And now it looks like we might just have a second inhibitor taken, this time in the mid. Chei going to throw out the hook, does find Max if they commit to this. They really can't. Trace trying to come back in onto MaHa up top, and Beyond is just whittling him down. Will pop that Guardian Angel. ADD, though, really close to losing his as well. He will get ticked down. The last auto attacks coming through. Finish him off. The GA will bring him back to life.
Beyond has no mana, so they have to be careful fighting here, MVP. They're smart to back away.
They have double Ocean Drake, so they can just wait and regen, but it looks like they are just going to peel back. The Elder Dragon spawning in 10 seconds.
I mean, they got their objectives as well, Achilles. They got double inhibitor.
Yeah.
So Elder Drake is now a free objective. No way for Jin Air to leave their base with the Ocean Drake and a couple of camps. Beyond's going to take first the Scuttle Crab. Graves able to walk up, but let's see if he feels feisty enough to try and contest the Elder Drake. The answer is yes.
Yeah. Trying to get some vision down here is Beyond. Has that pink ward in that brush. Running over the blue. Oh, the knockback from Graves. Not gonna let that javelin connect, so he won't be able to get the steal away, but even so, that's the best thing that's happened for Jin Air in the last 10 minutes is they got a blue buff.
And bonus items on the side of MVP. It's not even the people with kills, because almost all the kills are on Beyond, as we noted earlier. But just through farm, just through permanent objectives like the turrets, either an item completion or a full item ahead are the team of MVP, as they're casually 15,000 gold ahead of Jin Air. The same Jin Air that literally days ago took down SK Telecom.
Yeah. Granted, SKT weren't at their top level in that, but Jin Air still did play extremely well, but it's just not being seen at all today. MVP have just completely space jammed the Jin Air Greenwings.
Trace is spotted, looking for a flank.
Yep, he will be able to zip his way out of there safely. I was going to say the Green Air Jinwings, but you can see.
Ultimate used from Kalista.
Yep. Not going to be able to find anyone to throw him back in on, though. Gravity Field down for a little bit of time. ADD is so far forward. A couple auto attacks come in from that Azir onto Chei. He's down to about half HP. Minions crashing in the top and mid side. Jin Air have to peel back, and this turret could go down if MVP just don't want to walk up and try to take the Nexus Tower. So it looks like that might be the option.
It's improvement from MVP. They're being a lot smarter. They're not leaving one lane all to its own. Super minions crashing in top and mid. Means they will take down this third inhibitor. So close to riding it. It's almost a 2-0 win for MVP.
All the hunt has been used. Bart ultimate thrown out. Not going to find too much, though. Chei goes for it, gets the play, drops the box. But look at him. He's just going to get blown up. The Chaos Storm is ticking. Max has to flash away with stands. Unite comes through from ADD to keep the Bart alive. Beyond going low as well, but he can heal himself up with that E. Ian trying to find an opening to get onto these towers. Last hits come through. The first one falls. The second one's going to follow suit immediately. And in 38.5 minutes, MVP are looking to take down the Jin Air Greenwings, our second place team, with a 2-0 victory. Wonderfully played by them.
And just like MVP said in that interview, they all flashed to really cotton off what is an excellent victory for MVP. But it's series like this that leave experts, Monty, I, Twitter analysts, everyone scratching your head about Jin Air Greenwings. How good is this team? How good is their lineup? Who is their best player? These are all questions that are a mystery. And in typical Jin Air fashion, you bump off SKT, next match is against MVP, you come in underdogs, because this too often is the reality for Jin Air, as MVP should really hold their heads up high. Again, they have not played till they were literally stomped by SKT 1 week ago today. And now they come out, they play smarter, they have new strategies. Very impressive performance. This one was all about Beyond. He was the superstar, but this is a massive win for MVP. They got there first a couple of weeks ago. That was the steadier. This is the one to really open up optimism, because this is the sort of win where you're like, it's still early in the season. Who knows how high we can finish if we can beat Jin Air.
Yep, and you can see the damage.